The Basher Munich vs PXG match has officially reached its final act, and let me just say, we're in for a treat these next few chapters. Awaken Crash-Out Isagi. Never before seen chemical reactions. Blue Lock fans are eating good this week. What's going on, everyone? My name is Animasu, and today I'll be going over Blue Lock chapter 284 with you all, titled Soul. If you enjoy staying up to date with Blue Lock or just want to support my channel, please click that subscribe button, comment below your thoughts, and feel free to join my community Discord. It can be found at the top of the video description, and there you can interact with me and tons of other egoists. Without further ado, let's get right into today's chapter, and I hope you all enjoy. Blue Lock chapter 284 starts off with fans screaming in amazement from all over the world as they have just witnessed a masterclass save from Gagamaru. The announcers even scream out to confirm that Itoshi and PXG did not score, and compliment Gogamaru on his composure in a desperate situation. Igarashi and Ryusei of course sprint to the goal and support their homie, and let me just say how amazing this is to see. Shidou seems to be giving a lot more focus on defensive players and plays lately, so hopefully the U20 World Cup will give everyone their shine. We then see isagi yoichi posing up on the floor, while clenching his fist, hyped for the match to continue on. Even the Basher Munich NPCs are sprinting towards him in the back, recognizing how impressive his effort was. Itoshi obviously is just gritting his teeth and snarling like a rabid dog, because once again, Isagi has bested him. With a voice calling out from behind Yoichi, while grabbing his head, he takes on a surprised look while turning around. It's none other than the cyan-haired Yoichi, who's smiling wide while calling his buddy totally awesome. He then goes on to ask just how much of the play-by-play had Isagi genuinely calculated, which he replies, all of it. Apart from Gagamaru's save, everything played out exactly as he planned, such as Rin's shooting and Kaiser's movements. He points over at Gagamaru while explaining this, to which the goat replies by throwing up a peace sign with a confused face. I mean, how can you not love this adorable guy? Anyways, Hyori then begins to laugh in disbelief while calling his teammate nuts, reaching his hand down to help him up. As Isagi locks hands with him and begins to stand, Hyori continues questioning him, asking if he planned to lose to Itoshi from the start, which also is a yes. As we then get flashbacks showing last chapter's events, Isagi explains that if he just charged in like normal, he more than likely couldn't have stopped Itoshi. He instead decided to focus purely on restricting his shot course, leaving the finishing block to Kaiser. Michael knew that if the shot passed his teammate, then Itoshi would score, so anticipating that, he rushed in and assisted on defense with metavision. Being a very similar person to the world-style egoist, Isagi was able to exploit his psychology and even his abilities to formulate this play. It's best explained by Yoichi here, who points out how Isagi just viewed himself as a pawn, a cog in the machine while also exploiting Kaiser calmly and rationally. Speaking of the Emperor, he can be seen crouched down eavesdropping on their conversation, which will be important later on. This is the first time Isagi has ever thought of himself in such a way, using himself as an object of the team rather than an individual egoist. As he thinks back to his past self, he explains that if he lost in the NEL now, he would just disappear and be overshadowed by the geniuses. This made him realize that all of his personal feelings and bottled up emotions, they don't matter, because in the end, all he craves is winning. Posing up for an amazing panel staring down at his hands, Isagi explains that he would even sell his soul for victory. I've found a new way to fight. Puzzle pieces begin to float up in the air all around him, as his eyes glow with intensity, leaving Hyori speechless. Sell your soul? Kaiser is once again shown trying to act all nonchalant, but turning his head, it's clear that he's still listening in. This conversation is cut short though by PXG's Itoshi, who wipes away his sweat while calling Isagi tepid. Giving the classic Itoshi side-eye, he goes on to call his striker ego rotten, wondering why exactly he's so happy over blocking one little shot. This does briefly leave Hyori speechless, however Isagi, he only needs a second to cook up a response. Huh? You're the tepid one, Rin. With Rin's face shifting from disgust to surprise, Isagi continues on to explain that it wasn't simply any shot he blocked. The whole world wanted a super goal from you. They were waiting for the birth of a hero in this new egoist league, and I tore that away from you and crushed it. Clenching his fist while staring Rin directly in his eyes, he proclaims to have bent history to his will, taking away all the possible glory Rin could want. Even Loki and Noah are staring along, confused and interested, as Isagi continues on to flaunt how his logic surpassed all of Rin's inspiration and genius. Leaving his rival completely blacked out with a shocked expression, Isagi takes the win, as he's proven to himself that a talented learner can defeat a genius in his own way. Gripping his hand while taking on the most devious look ever, Yoichi goes on to say that he's never felt such egotistical pleasure before. He now understands the intensity and heart-pounding chase that Itoshi pursues with his own ego. Anyways, we then get a perspective change to the star change system timer, as the announcers confirm that the 3 minutes have fully elapsed. The Master Strikers will now be forced to sub out of this game, and as we see Loki looking unhappy and Noah unfazed, Loki begins to walk off the field. He looks very annoyed with his expression, complaining about his decision to even partake in the match. The only reason he was enticed to join was Itoshi berserker state and Charles' awakening, but since his past couldn't even be converted into a goal, Loki is disappointed. At this rate, it will be 10,000 years before the world's best striker comes from Japan. For some reason, Loki just had to keep yapping and push it too far, which causes one egoist to take special offense. Isagi yoichi tells him to shut his mouth with the most fierce expression ever, pointing out how Loki is the loser in this scenario. With both Loki and Kaiser staring along in shock, Isagi continues on to say that in his visualization, his future, he wanted Itoshi to score, but he and Kaiser smashed it all apart. Please go check out Zay Drawing over on Twitter if you want to see the animation updates or just anything else they work on, because they're super talented and cool. Be a man and admit that you lost. You're awfully full of yourself for someone who just happened to be born fast. Yeah, Isagi takes the biggest blade and makes the deepest cut possible, basically telling Loki to grow up and be better. This causes possibly the second most angry look in the series, behind maybe Barou or Chris Prince, because Loki, bro looks like he's about to crash out like Isagi. Before he can respond though, Noa walks up behind Isagi, placing a hand on his shoulder while telling him to quit and calm down. This is all being streamed all over the globe to millions of people, so he must compose himself. Noah even goes on to compliment Isagi and the play he formulated, admitting that he indeed won in that matchup. He begins to tell him to prepare for the rest of this match, however Isagi literally calls him a shitty master while telling him to shut his mouth. You're just like him. You used me as a tool to awaken Kaiser, and I can no longer trust you. Isagi has truly thrown away his admiration for Noa as he squeezes his master's wrist after swatting his hand away. Staring at the number 1 dead in the eye, Isagi promises to create a theory that can even surpass him, demanding that Noah just sit there and wait patiently. The next World Cup is mine. Just like in the U20 match, Isagi makes an extreme declaration to reign victorious over the footballing world, but that's no problem to Noah. Being a football junkie to his core, he's more than likely pumped up about talking about this, as he tells Isagi he's looking forward to the challenge. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is peak fiction without a doubt. The fans and commentators of course roar out in excitement as Yoichi Isagi has just made a bold declaration on the world of football. He's brought forth chaos and ego, declaring war against the world's number 1 and his own team's master Noa. It's not just the world, but Karasu, Igarashi, even his buddy Kiyora are left thinking he's lost his marbles. Who do you think you're picking a fight with, you dumbass? Basically everyone just feels his intense ego and twisted aura coming from Isagi, as he once again zones out and focuses on thinking ahead. With his original spiral ego eyes appearing, Isagi knows he must abandon all pride and useless sentiment, in a way, selling his soul for victory. If I use myself as a tool, then even I can defeat Itoshi. Having the ego and knowledge now, Isagi calls out to Michael Kaiser, thanking him for this new line of thinking. He was only able to develop and grow so far due to this new generation striker's pressure, so in a surprising twist, Kaiser, let's team up. In a very similar panel to chapter 266 where he called Michael a superstar, Isagi formally asked Kaiser to team up with him as a puzzle piece floats up behind him with his rival's name on it. Reaching out his hand towards Michael, he explains that together, they can end this new egoist league and go flawless like the peak fictional characters they are. Sorry, he obviously didn't say the last bit, but I'm just too hyped up at this. Half of the puzzle pieces even turn black to indicate his deepest desires, true ego, and possibly even Kaiser's malice blending into his aura. The outro text for today's chapter says, an unexpected team up. A proposal that transcends boundaries invites the Emperor Kaiser and the monster prodigy Isagi to fight side by side. Luckily, we once again will have no break, so next week's upcoming chapter 285 will be titled Agreement. Next chapter will 100% show the substitutions, have Isagi and Kaiser discussing business, to then end off with the ball going back into play. The community seems pretty divided over this chapter when I looked online, because 80% are like me and enjoyed the egotistical yapping, while the other are just action merchants who can't stand reading. I'm just kidding, everyone's allowed to have their own opinion, but for me, this was peak. But that's sadly ending off today's chapter overview. I just want to thank you all so much for tuning in and supporting me. If you want to stay updated with Blue Lock or help me out, please click that subscribe button, comment below your thoughts, and consider joining my community Discord too. You can find the link at the top of the description. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.